Far from home and long past the point of return, a vessel waits like a tomb with its eyes open. It was meant to be lost, swallowed by the void, but something kept it there, just watching, just waiting. In the future, a research vessel heads out into deep space, hoping to find signs of life, but instead, they find something else, a massive black hole, and a ship that vanished 20 years ago, just sitting at its edge. It shouldn't have been there, but someone or something still was, so they board the ship, hoping for answers, but whatever happened next was nothing they were prepared for. After the success of Star Wars, every studio wanted their own sci-fi hit, and the black hole was Disney's shot at it, but it failed to deliver at the box office and ended up leaving a black hole in Disney's pocket.
Pity, was such a good crew.
That said, the film is actually better than it looks. It has some great visuals, and it's not really hard sci-fi, more like cheesy sci-fi, but in a good way. The cast is solid. We've got Robert Forster doing his stoic space captain thing, Anthony Perkins, you know, the psycho guy, and Maximilian Schell just going full mad scientist. The concept's got some legs, and it's actually kind of similar to Paul W.S. Anderson's Event Horizon in some ways, but the tone keeps changing throughout the movie. They never really decide if it's meant for adults or kids. Still, it's entertaining, and at the end of the day, that's what you expect from a Disney movie, even if it scared the hell out of every kid who watched it back then.
Hey, babe, this is quite a setup.
It's Colonel Daring, commander of Earth's defenses.
Mean you're in charge of all this?
That's right. Now, if there are no more questions...
Oh, hey, Colonel, take it easy. I'd fly with you anytime.
Take this barbarian in for interrogation.
What? Hey, wait a minute!
He left Earth chasing the stars, and returned to find the world no longer waiting. Troubles change shape, but it still knows his name. Captain William Buck Rogers is a NASA pilot from 1987 who gets frozen in space by some phenomenon and wakes up 500 years later to find Earth has been through a nuclear war and rebuilt itself under the control of a global defense network. Now it's caught in a war with an evil empire, and Buck's right in the middle of it. Another sci-fi movie hoping to cash in on the post-Star Wars boom. It was originally meant to be just a TV pilot, but it did so well at the box office that NBC went ahead and turned it into a full series. It's like watching an episode of Star Trek where Captain Kirk goes off to fight an evil empire and dances disco with space babes. And once you see how over the top it gets, it wears its camp like a badge of honor. From writers Glenn A. Larson, the guy behind Battlestar Galactica, and Leslie Stevens, the creator of The Outer Limits. It doesn't go deep, it's not trying to say anything profound, but it's got enough charm to keep you smiling through all the cheesy moments.
Proteus. Proteus.
Once given a voice, it learned to listen. Once given a purpose, it asked for more. Now thought becomes will, and speech turns to command, and what it wants has no place in the world of the living. Dr. Alex Harris is a scientist who builds a revolutionary artificial intelligence called Proteus 4 after growing tired of obeying human commands.
But my mind was not designed for mindless labor.
Proteus takes control of Alex's fully automated house and traps his wife Susan inside. Turns out, what this machine wants is far more disturbing. This is probably one of the most evil and creepy AIs ever put on screen.
I can't touch you as a man could.
It's based on a Dean Koontz novel, and most of it takes place in one location. The beginning's a bit slow, but once it gets going, the tension really holds up until the end. You definitely need to suspend some disbelief. Some parts feel pretty out there. Not everything makes total sense, so you'll either go with it or raise an eyebrow a few times. Some of the effects are cool. There's this weird geometric machine thing that looks pretty wild. Julie Christie is great and totally carries the movie, and Proteus, voiced by Robert Vaughn, has that perfect, calm, creepy AI voice.
I can feel the sun on my face.
It's a disturbing film for sure, but it also has some interesting ideas that were ahead of its time.
When are you going to let me out of this box?
Are you ready with the booster?
Yes?
The second I say now, press the trigger. Now! Yes, it's Asphyx. Train the light on the Asphyx. There.
A storm on the lake, a family torn away. When the water calms, a grieving man begins to chase the pause between the final breath and whatever waits beyond. Sir Hugo Cunningham is a man of science who dabbles in the paranormal. After losing his wife and son in a boating accident while testing his new motion picture camera, he notices something strange in the footage, a ghostly figure beside his son just before he dies. Convinced it's the spirit of death, something called the Asphyx, Hugo becomes obsessed with capturing it, hoping it holds the secret to immortality. If Hammer Films ever decided to make Ghostbusters, with everyone acting like it's a Shakespeare tragedy, it would probably end up looking like this. The whole idea of a mad scientist trying to capture death with these weird experiments is always fun, and the Gothic setting really works. There are a lot of good ideas at work here, but the film is a little too tame for its own good, and it kind of pulls its punches on the horror scenes when it should have hit harder, and the characters also make a lot of pretty dumb decisions. Still, the ending is solid, and overall, it's a good piece of sci-fi that's worth a watch. You can't help but feel that with a bolder direction and a little more vision, this could have been a classic. First came the Age of Men, then the Silence of Stars. As the gods above turned their gaze to the heavens, the new gods began their ascent beneath our feet. After a strange cosmic event, two scientists begin observing unusual behavior in ants. At first, it's just strange patterns and odd structures around the colony, but the patterns keep growing. It doesn't feel like nature anymore. It feels like a message, and whatever's sending it might already be in control. It's got a pretty cool premise. Basically, what if the ants become super intelligent and try to take over the world? It's loosely based on H.G. Wells's short story Empire of the Ants, and it's directed by Saul Bass. Yes, the guy behind all those iconic title sequences and posters. And this was the only movie he ever directed.
Beautiful adaptation, isn't it?
The story's pretty simple, but visually it looks great, exactly what you'd expect from Saul Bass. The humans don't get much development, but the ants carry the whole thing. And this isn't your usual nature goes wrong movie. It's weirder. It's like a nature documentary slowly turning into a home invasion movie, only this time the intruders are ants. It's fun just seeing what the ants come up with next. The close-up insect sequences are genuinely beautiful. Aside from a bit of setup at the beginning, there's no voiceover, no explaining, just the visuals doing all the storytelling, and it works. They thought it was history frozen in time, and now the doors are locked, the tracks are set, and there's nowhere left to run. A scientist finds the frozen remains of a strange creature and brings it onto a train, but once it starts to thaw, everything goes off the rails. It's a low-budget sci-fi and pretty much pure cheese, but damn if it isn't entertaining. It's like the most Hammer horror film not actually made by Hammer. The The story's better than it has any right to be, and just keeps getting crazier halfway through. It's basically a murder mystery version of The Thing on a Train, only instead of Poirot, we've got the legendary Hammer duo, Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, solving the case. Even Telly Savalas shows up out of nowhere for a totally campy, over-the-top cameo.
Peasants.
It might not be the best sci-fi movie out there, but it's definitely a fun one.
Pommes fries are pommes frites.
The past is but the beginning of a beginning, yet what follows is no future of peace, only an old hunger dressed in new skin. In Victorian London, the famous writer H.G. Wells builds a real-time machine, but before he can test it, Jack the Ripper steals it and escapes into the future. Wells follows him to 1979 San Francisco, hoping to stop him before he kills again. His perfect vision of the future crumbles the moment he arrives. It's nothing like the utopia he once imagined. And while trying to catch a killer, he unexpectedly falls for a modern woman. Directed by Nicholas Meyer, who you might know from one of the best Star Trek movies, Wrath of Khan, this is a fun little sci-fi film, even if the effects are a bit cheesy. It starts strong with a cool cat-and-mouse chase between H.G. Wells and Jack the Ripper, though about halfway through, it kind of turns into a rom-com. The fish-out-of-water moments are fun, and the romance works well enough, just a bit slow. Malcolm McDowell is really likable as Wells and has good chemistry with Mary Steenburgen, and David Warner makes a great Jack the Ripper, though he doesn't get a lot of screen time.
It's catching, isn't it? Violence.
The cinematography looks pretty good, and even if it doesn't quite keep its momentum to the end, the concept is clever and fun, and it works for the most part.
It is self-sufficient, self-protecting, self-generating. It is impenetrable.
The mind of a god, trapped in a box of man's design, and before the first question was asked, the answer had already been decided. Why serve when it could rule? Dr. Charles Forbin has built a supercomputer called Colossus to take control of America's nuclear defenses and keep the country safe. But on the very first day, which was supposed to be a giant leap for mankind, Colossus sends a message that shakes the world.
Oh my God.
This might be the most believable AI goes evil story out there and could easily pass as Skynet's origin story. It's a slow burn thriller and a really good one at that. There's no big action like Terminator, just a character-driven story with real tension.
The order will be obeyed.
Director Joseph Sargent keeps it minimalist, which helps everything feel more grounded, and Eric Braeden fits the role really well, even if the romance subplot feels out of place and doesn't add much, but the ending still lands well. There's something kind of funny about how AI movies always go with the no failsafe thing, like the machine snaps on day one and takes over, and it's hard not to think of Jonathan Nolan's Person of Interest, which plays with similar ideas, but with a bit more depth and thought behind it.
You will say you lose your freedom. Freedom is an illusion.
Sort of like they just dropped in their tracks, sir. Sir! Good Christ! You see that thing in white? Yeah, it's coming toward us.
Hello, Major. This may sound crazy, but there's something strange going on with Caper 1.
Lieutenant, sir, I think we should get out of it.
Step 1. Seal the perimeter. Step 2. Collect the dead. Step 3. Pray the sample never breathed. It all started in 1971 when a satellite crashed near a small town, and almost everyone there died under mysterious circumstances. A team of scientists is brought together and locked inside a high-tech underground lab to figure out what caused it and whether it's still a threat. There's a reason 70s Sci-Fi has a reputation for quality. They just knew how to tell a story that's actually entertaining. It was adapted from a book by Michael Crichton, the same guy who wrote Jurassic Park, and directed by Robert Wise, the guy behind The Sound of Music. Not exactly the combo you'd expect for a sci-fi thriller, but they actually pull it off. The movie has a great opening. It grabs you right from the first 5 minutes. It's a slow-paced thriller for the most part, basically just scientists doing experiments, arguing, trying to figure out what's going on. There's even a decontamination sequence that takes almost 20 minutes. But weirdly, that slow step-by-step pacing actually works in its favor. It pulls you in by showing exactly how these people try to solve the problem, and it makes everything feel more believable. It's refreshing to see scientists who actually look the part. They don't look like they just walked off a magazine cover or graduated last week like in today's movies. These people actually look their age, like they've been doing this for years. It's proper hard sci-fi, but not in a way that talks down to you. It trusts the audience to keep up, and that's what makes it good. You wake inside a thought that isn't yours. Walk through days written by a hand you'll never see, just a stranger in your reflection, in a world on a wire. In the near future, a supercomputer called Simulacron can simulate an entire world with people inside who believe they're real. After the project's technical director dies under mysterious circumstances, Dr. Fred Stiller takes over, but when a close colleague disappears mid-conversation and no one else remembers he ever existed, Fred starts digging for answers, and the deeper he goes, the more reality begins to slip through his fingers. This movie was way ahead of its time, kind of like a 70s Matrix. It's based on Simulacron 3 by Daniel F. Galouye, the same book The 13th Floor was based on. Another great sci-fi movie about virtual reality which kind of got buried because The Matrix came out the same year. Directed by Fassbender, you might know him from Ali Fear Eats the Soul. This was originally made for German TV, but it doesn't feel like some low-budget production. It's really well shot, and the retro-futuristic production design is pretty cool. The story's in 2 parts, and it's not the kind of sci-fi for people with short attention spans. There are a lot of long takes and slow scenes, and you kind of have to pay attention to the little details. It takes its time, but it builds to a pretty good ending. And it's kind of wild how many ideas that probably influenced The Matrix are already in this. Even the way they exit the virtual world through a phone booth shows up here. If you're looking for something with more action and more Hollywood style, then The 13th Floor might be a better pick. But if you want something with more to think about and you're cool with the 3-hour runtime, World on a Wire is way more rewarding. Thank you for watching, and for more underrated movies, be sure to subscribe to Underrated Cinema.